U.S. President Trump's tweets announcing that the military will no longer allow transgender people to serve caught almost everyone by surprise, including the top brass at the Pentagon. Tonight, people, policy, and yet another ban without a plan. I'm Brent Goff in Berlin. This is The Day.
As a veteran, I am so proud that I served my country. But this is a major, major setback for us.
Transgender people are going to be forced back into the closet.
The president's expressed concern since this Obama policy came into effect.
When I heard of Trump's ban on transgender people serving openly in the service, I wondered, is this simply another fetish of Trump to undo everything that President Obama accomplished?
But he's also voiced that this is a very expensive and disruptive policy.
The Pentagon spends 5 times more on Viagra than it does for transition-related care. 5 times more on Viagra.
It seems like everywhere you turn around, there are people discriminated against the trans community for one reason or another.
It goes back to the bad old days of don't ask, don't tell.
They will, in all probability, once again become something of a target of witch hunts.
They probably will not think of volunteering to serve our country.
Also on the show, recruiting terror. Just how easy is it to go from being an average and unassuming guy to becoming a newly enlisted, ready-to-kill terrorist? Well, today in Spain, authorities arrested a Moroccan-born man suspected of using social media to spread IS propaganda and attract new members. They say he did it all with just a Facebook profile. Tonight, you'll meet the German journalist who used simple text messaging and found himself on the short list of Islamic State's newest jihadists. Well, we begin the day with the latest ban coming from inside the Trump White House. U.S. President Donald Trump is drawing criticism from practically every direction after tweeting that transgender people will no longer be allowed to enlist or serve in the U.S. military. Now, transgender people identify themselves as being a different gender to their sex at birth. And we don't know exactly how many people that this ban applies to. There are estimates of between 6,000 and 15,000 actively serving transgender soldiers in the U.S. Armed Services. Trump's sudden decree via Twitter goes against a decades-long trend towards more inclusive policies for LGBT members of the U.S. military. Let's go back in time now to 1993. President Bill Clinton reversed the military's anti-gay regulation with what was known as the don't ask, don't tell policy. Now, the law still barred openly gay people from serving, but the military was no longer allowed to investigate a person's sexuality as long as the soldier did not come out as gay or lesbian. Now, President Barack Obama ended Don't Ask, Don't Tell back in 2010. And for the first time, openly gay people were allowed to serve. In June of last year, then President Obama ended a policy dating back to the 1960s that barred transgender people from the military. And that brings us to yesterday's tweets in which U.S. President Trump announced a ban on transgender people in the U.S. military, a ban that he said would be reinstated.
Take great care of your family and your parents.
As Trump addressed a group of scouts in the White House gardens, he probably thought it was the one place he'd be safe from questions about his latest policy announcement.
How did you decide your policy on transgender people in the military?
The president's announcement, made through a series of Twitter posts, has upended decades of efforts to eliminate barriers to military service on the basis of gender identity. After consultation with my generals and military experts, the United States government will not accept or allow transgender individuals to serve in any capacity in the US military. Our military must be focused on decisive and overwhelming victory and cannot be burdened with the tremendous medical costs and disruption that transgender in the military would entail. Advocacy groups and transgender veterans greeted the policy announcement with surprise and shock and asked what will happen to the thousands of transgender troops currently serving.
You know, 15,000 service members right now are facing discharge from the military. What do those discharges look like? Are they going to be honorable, less than honorable, dishonorable? What are the implications to them and their families, career soldiers that have, you know, given their careers with distinction to now not have that job? You know, that impact. How does the Pentagon react to that when making policy?
Trump's announcement is a reversal of Barack Obama's policy allowing transgender people to serve openly in the military. During Trump's election campaign last year, he'd promised he would also support transgender rights. The White House spokesman was on the ropes.
The president's expressed concern since this Obama policy came into effect, but he's also voiced that this is a very expensive and disruptive policy, and based on consultation that he's had with his national security team, came to the conclusion that it erodes military readiness and unit cohesion, and made the decision based on that.
But House Democrat leader Nancy Pelosi contested claims that transgender service personnel were a source of great expense.
The Pentagon spends 5 times more on Viagra than it does for transition-related care. 5 times more on Viagra.
Neither Trump nor the White House have specified how the ban would be implemented.
Well, I'm joined tonight from New York by Denny Meyer with the Transgender American Veterans Association. Mr. Meyer has been an activist for transgender rights for 57 years. Mr. Meyer, welcome to the day. It's good to have you on the show tonight. The Pentagon, we understand, was caught off guard with these tweets from U.S. President Trump. Does that give you reason to hope that this ban will not become policy?
Unfortunately, it does not give me hope. What Trump did is what he does with every issue, because he's a crude, ignorant man, and decides in the middle of the night to tweet about anything that occurs to him. He makes promises and forgets them. They don't mean anything to him. He's a very crude person. But although the tweet is not an executive order, it's not American policy, I'm going to assume he's going to move forward with that and make it an executive order. And then there'll be a long battle either in court or in Congress to void that, but it'll take a long time. In the meantime, a lot of people are going to be kicked out.
Have you been hearing from a lot of veterans since the president tweeted the reinstatement of the ban?
Yes, I mean, this is what I do. I work with LGBT veterans, gay and transgender veterans, and
what have they been telling
it's just a confirmation of what we've. I'm sorry.
What have they been telling you? I mean, how do they feel? What have been their reactions to this?
Anger, bitterness, and a confirmation of what we feared when he was elected. That all the progress that President Obama created is going to be reversed, slowly but surely. And Trump has done this by appointing racists to be in his administration, by appointing people who are against health care to run the health care department, et cetera, et cetera. In every area, he's done the worst thing possible. So it's no surprise. During his campaign, he actually promised to take care of gay and transgender people. And people immediately said it was a lie. Now we know it's a lie.
Yeah.
It's not a surprise.
According to the White House press secretary, Mr. Meyer, the president wants this ban because sexual reassignment procedures are too expensive. I wanted to take a listen to what the House Majority Leader, Paul Ryan, what he had to say about that today.
Or the concern here in the House was whether or not the military will be forced to pay for these surgical procedures. I share those concerns. The question on the broader issue, that is being reviewed by the DOD and the White House, and I look forward to seeing what it is that they actually produce.
Mr. Meyer, let me ask you, are people enlisting in the U.S. military and then asking the military to pay for their sex change operation? Is that what's happening?
No. This whole concern is a total lie, because the procedure set up by the Obama administration was very clear that if you're going to join, you have to have completed your transition before joining. In other words, you can't join and then demand to be treated. So, and they know this. This is total rubbish. It's a total made-up thing for prejudice.
What about the allegations of morale? Have there been any complaints in the military about low morale or poor performance since the transgender ban was lifted last year?
No. The gay ban was lifted in 2011, and there have been zero problems, none at all. And in all of our allied countries, including Israel and Australia and England and probably Deutschland as well, LGBT people have been serving since the mid-1990s, and there have been no problems whatsoever. All of these claims of fear of morality and this is utter rubbish. It's based on prejudice. They know these claims are untrue.
Well, you've got a lot of people in the Pentagon, Mr. Meyer, who don't want to reinstate this ban. Do you think that they should be doing something? I mean, there has been a lot of criticism today, but do you think that the criticism should come from even higher up at the Pentagon?
Well, the problem there is the way America is set up. The people in the Pentagon cannot criticize the president because he's also the commander-in-chief of the military. So they're blocked, really, from openly criticizing their commander. You know, there may be some people who are doing it, and it's courageous, and it's the right thing to do, but they're not really allowed to do that.
Well, you know,
they have to remain.
You've talked to these
members of Congress.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
Members of Congress, even very ultra-conservative Republicans, yesterday were already disagreeing with the president. Even John McCain and Orrin Hatch, who are far-right Republican conservatives, were saying, oh no, transgender people should be allowed to serve. This was a shock to hear it coming from these conservatives, but that's how wrong the president is.
Well, Mr. Meyer,
because they've already accepted.
Before we let you go, let me ask you, would you tell a young person considering enlisting now in the military, would you tell them that they should do that, or would you tell them no, they shouldn't enlist?
Well, I would wait to see what's going to happen now in the next few days if he makes an executive order. There's some question that the Congress may try to block him anyway, because he's just unhinged, totally unhinged in everything he's doing. We have always encouraged people to serve. I served during and after Vietnam when gay people and transgender people were totally forbidden. And I did it for the same reason people are doing today, patriotism.
Yeah.
They want to serve their country, period. And so not everybody wants to do that.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people want to live freely and do what they, but those who really want to, if they said, oh, I want to do this to get surgery, I'd say that's the wrong reason.
Yeah.
I would discourage that. And I'd tell them, listen, you're signing up to be sent to the most dangerous place in the world. That's not the way to get transitioned.
Yeah.
But people aren't doing that. Too smart for that.
All right. Well, Mr. Meyer, we're going to have to wrap it up there. We certainly appreciate your time and your thoughts. Denny Meyer with the Transgender American Veterans Association joining me tonight from New York. Mr. Meyer, thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.